Hey, good day, YouTube. Guess what we're going to talk about today? The good old COVID test. So, yesterday, I got on the phone, 9 o'clock when my PCP opens, and just continued to redial until I got a voice, a human being. And so, I talked to them like they were 5 or 6-year-old kids and explained to them, I don't know, umpteenth time. And I told them there's no order at the hospital. And so I gave them a list. These are the things I have to know now. I have to know who's supposed to write my order and why isn't it being written and why doesn't the hospital have it? And so she's like, well, hang on a minute. She pulls me up. She's like, well, we called the order in last Monday to the hospital and they got it. I'm like, well, they say otherwise. And you guys were supposed to call me back last Monday. I was like, and now it's Monday again. And no one's called me back. And we called on Friday because there was still no order and no one called us back from your office. So this is what I need. I need you to fax them an order, standing order, once a week for a COVID test. You're signing the order for once a week peritonesis. Well, they go hand in hand. I can't get in the hospital without the COVID test. And so she's like, all right, no problem. She's like, done. It's like, it's like, all right, good. I was like, are you positive it's there? Yep, it's there. I can see it in the computer system. I'm like, I just don't trust you. I was like, can you print me off a hard copy as well? Because I have to go down to the hospital tonight to get my test done. And I don't want to go through the hassle of driving all the way down there for it not to be in the system. So she's like, yeah, no problem. Ba-ding, I got you a hard copy. I'm like, great. On my way down, I'll stop by and pick it up. And so we head off to the hospital. Well, first we run up here to my local lab. That's where I get the PEth test done. They were closed for some reason early yesterday. But so then we head down there. And we go to check in. And on the way into the hospital, my wife's telling me, be nice to him, remember what you always tell me about patients, and I'm like, yeah, I'll be nice. I'll be nice and patient with him. But I said, something's gonna be messed up, right? She's like, oh, you gotta trust them, and it's like, all right. So we go in and we get called up to go check in. And here's what we need. There should be 2 standing orders. One for lab work and one for the COVID test. We need those 2 filled. I need to get those 2 things done. And so the lady's like hee-hawing around and I can already see the confusion in her face. And I'm just like, yeah. So I keep my mouth shut. My wife's taking care of it. And they start talking about all this other blood test and whatnot. And so once we think we have her understanding what I'm getting exactly, it's not that big of a deal. It's the hematocrit and the ferritin level. And that's 1 tube of blood. And that's all it takes. And then I go and get the COVID test at the emergency department, the triage center, or whatever they call it, triage room. And so we're like, great. And then she's like, well, wait a minute, I don't see your COVID. And we're like, well, it's there. And she's like, nah. She said, you don't have no COVID order here. I'm like, huh, really? So she's like, well, you guys got a paper copy, And we're like, well, yeah, we do, but it's in your system. And so she starts digging all around, and after a few minutes, she's like, oh, I found it. is down here under standing orders. It's like, duh. I'm like, yes, that's it. Thank God, and I had her read it to me. It's good for a year, once a week for a year. I'm like, perfect. All right, we got it. And so she's looking over the hematocrit and the ferritin part of the blood test. And she starts talking about getting a gene test for the hemochromatosis. And we're just, and I'm just sitting there listening, being nice and patient like I'm supposed to be. And she's like, yada, yada. So I pulled up my patient portal on my phone. I was like, and showed it to her. This test right here. See, I've had these every week. I was like, this is what I need. So she dinks around and says, oh, yeah, you need the gene test for, the hemochromatosis. And so I think maybe she's confused. But then it dawns on my wife, well, this lady's not confused. Well, she is confused, but she wants to give me the gene test. And so we have to try to, we have to go through everything again. It's like, no, I've already had the gene test, and you should have that. You should have the results, you've had them for months, and yada, yada. And so she pokes all around, and so she said something about, well, things, get changed around and whatnot. And I was like, what, gremlins come onto your server at night and just change my records? She's like, yeah, it can happen, So I just laughed at her. She gave me a weird look, And so we get up to leave. She gives us this big handful of stickers. I should only have 4. 2 for the lab and 2 for the Rona test. And she gives us 6, So we're like, well, what do we do with 6 of these stickers, And she's like, well, I don't know. It's like, well, we only get 4, So it says we walked off with 6. So she's like, go over to triage first and get your Rona test. And so we walk over there. It's not that far. And I'm telling the wife, I was like, it's going to go south. They're going to be confused over here. I can already tell. She's like, how do you know? I'm like, because the lady checking us in was confused. And so it's kind of funny. We're sitting there waiting. There's 3 of us. There's actually 4 people waiting. One's my wife. And it's 2 other ladies and me. And so this male nurse comes out, and I can tell right off the bat, he's too scared to pronounce my first name. And so he goes to the women. And this is funny. He goes to the women first, and he talks real quiet to them and asks them if they're there for, the COVID test. And he gets over to my wife, he asked her, are you here for your test? And she's like, no, he is though. And he looks at me and he looks at the paper and yada yada. My first name is actually Andre. People call me Andrea. And so basically I go by Andre. It's just a lot simpler, and that's a whole other video on the reason why there. But so he just gives us a weird look, and he starts quizzing us. Well, what do you need the COVID test for? And so I'm being nice and patient, and I'm not saying anything. And he's like, are you getting a job? The yada yada. And why do you need the COVID test? Well, for one thing, it's none of his damn business why I need it. And so the wife speaks up and says, well, he has a procedure. And so he wants to know, well, what kind of procedure and this and that. And it's just like, dude, you don't even have the right to be asking me this information. You're just going to swab my nose, So he goes back into the triage room. I stand up to follow him like I did the other guy. And he spazzes out at the door. Oh, no, you can't come in. I'm like, okay, whatever. And so I sat back down in my chair. He's like, I'll come out and swab your nose. And he's standing there with everything in his hand, So he comes back out. and swabs my nose, if that's what you want to call it. And it was a joke. And he still looked all confused. And he's like, all right, thanks, And I'm like, well, don't you want the stickers that go with the test? He's like, well, I don't know. I'm like, well, how are you going to know whose test this is? You put the little sticker on the vial, It's got my name on it, the little QR scan code thingy. And so he just looks at me weird and he takes them. So I get rid of those two. And so we get up to go over to the lab. I was like, the lab's going to be all messed up too. I guarantee you there's going to be a problem at the lab. And she's like, by this time, she's lost her patience, and it's funny. And I'm laughing at her. And so we go over to the lab and give them our stickers, which is the normal procedure. And, it's got all my information. You don't have to ask me anything, not at all, And so she's like all confused. Well, what's all these other tests? And it's like, oh my gosh, And she wants to give me the ammonia test again. I'm like, these shouldn't even be on your system. How they got there, I don't know. We don't know. But we were guaranteed last week that you got them off our system. I was like, I got the patient portal in my hand. And it clearly says what my standing orders are. There's two. Basic, And so she's all confused and trying to figure it out. And her and my wife are talking, and and I got to revert back and start talking to her like she's 6, and showing her my phone and this. And so she takes me back there to suck my blood out. It just takes a jiffy. And I'm talking to her, and she's like, well, I'm not understanding how come you're having such a hard time. And we kind of explained to her, it wasn't a hard time until you guys stopped this drive-through option. And once you did, everything went to hell. She's like, well, that should make a difference. And and we got to talking about the intake people. They're like, she shouldn't even be talking to you about this, the hemochromatosis or anything. I'm like, well, really? It's like, well, someone should go tell her, and just run what's supposed to be ran. It's like she's looking for all these other tests. It's like, we've already caught you guys twice now pulling blood and running a blood test that I didn't need. I was like, thank God that doesn't come out of my pocket. My insurance picks that up. But the insurance shouldn't have to pay for the unnecessary blood test either. And so I'm pretty sure it's all straightened out. So we come home, and of course, I get my results. Everything's good. So we're scheduled to go down tomorrow. So I look at my test. The normal lab part, it still looks like crap to me, but the parts that counted were good. So my hematocrit level went up, which is good. That's what stopped me from having the phlebotomy the last 2 times. And my ferritin level's still going down. I was really shocked. And it made it down to 375. And the top end of normal is 388. So I just barely got her into the normal zone. So I got, well, it's working. So all scheduled, gonna do the peritonisis as well. I passed my Rona test. And so we're gonna go get that done in the morning. 10 o'clock, I think I'm scheduled to start. But there's going to be another problem. Going to be more problems, and that's going to be when I get over to the infusion center. So they've added hydration to my order over there because my blood was clotting. So they're going to throw just a normal saline solution IV bag on me for a while and hydrate me. But today is day 7. This is the normal day I usually get drained. And to go 8 days is hard. And I hurt now, just waiting. And the way the order's written for the infusion is for every It's kind of weird, but for 0 to 6 liters, I get to 36 grams, and then anywhere from 6 to would it be 12 liters, anywhere in between there, I get another 36. So I've weighed myself. I've kind of figured out where I'm at, and I'm going to probably be at 6.2 liters, maybe 6.3. That's my best guess. And when that happens, that's going to throw me up to getting 72 grams of infusion. And I already told the wife, it's like, what's going to happen. I've already weighed myself. I know where I'm going to be at tomorrow. And it's going to be mass confusion. It was last time when they didn't even want to give me none. And so that's going to freak them out, 72. I can hear it all now, But, that was our day yesterday. So did get that standing order in finally, My poor nurse, registered nurse down there in radiology, she'd had enough. She's like, just piss on it. I'll just sign an order for you every week, so you can get it done. This is BS. And it's like, well, it's not really her job. It isn't her job. It's nobody's job, except for my PCP to write that standing order for my COVID test. He's the one ordering the peritonesis. I mean, it's basic math, 2 plus 2 is always going to be 4. But I thought I'd jump on there today and yak about that and let you all know we think we got that straightened out with them all, But you got to treat them like they're infantiles, and I guess if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. So we get home last night. We didn't even get home till like 6:30. Took forever because we're arguing down there again with them until we get the right crap. So we get home at 6:30, get the mail, and I got a letter from my gastrologist. Didn't get a chance to call her yesterday like we planned. And now we're not going to be able to call her until tomorrow. But get a letter from her, and she's like, well, your lab work looks good, and I'm like, that's kind of confusing, because when you're off the charts one way or the other, that can't be good. That's how we look at it. If you're redlining or flatlining, that can't be good either way. But she said that looks really good. She's like, I put a new order in for this lab up here. I got 2 labs, and they'll do once a month, pull blood. That's for the gastro. She wants her own private blood collection, which is fine. I don't mind going and giving blood as long as I know what the heck they're taking it for, And then she goes on and talks about my PEth test, and that's the one I take every other week, and it monitors me for alcohol, drugs, anything that, and you got to have that 6 months of a clean PEth test. And so the order was for every other week, which I thought was normal, but now she's like, you just need it once a month, But now I'm kind of leery because my entire life actually depends on that one test. Because if I can't pass that test every time, I have to start over on it. And it'd be so devastating to have to start that 6 months back over again. I know where my tests are. They're clean. There's nothing in them. And we'll get my toxicology report today. So they're going to find the opium, which is good. If they don't find it, that's bad, because they'll think I'm selling the drugs. But and that's the only thing that's in there is the small opiate prescription, And I'll get that. I'll get the copy of that, and I'll get a copy from that last blood test that my GI doctor says, it looks all right. I guess maybe it kind of does in her eyes. There's a calculated form for end of life that they go by, and you can you can figure out where you're at. And so it's a number between 6 and 40, and the higher the number, the less time you got to live. So if you're up around like 38 or even 40, you're already in a coma, and it's just a matter of a day or two probably, And so that's the number they go by. And then depending on where your number is how often they recheck that number. And I was down at 10, and it's a basic calculator. Anybody can use it. It's online, and you just punch in blood test numbers and yada yada. So my score is 10, and usually they don't do anything if you're at 10. That doesn't mean you can't get on the list, but with the proper care, they can certainly make you feel better. And so that's something that we do understand and have talked about, because we knew where my score was, and talking up, with the transplant team, and maybe at least get in with their GI up there, someone to look at my medication, which we still think there's some of my medication that's way off they're giving me, and one of them is to fight the ascites. Let me see if I can show you my belly today. I haven't showed you my belly really, but let's see if we get kind of a side view of it. It's just not good. You're talking about someone whose normal weight's 180, 175, somewhere around there, with a flat belly. And so I'm pretty poofed out there today, and it hurts, and it hurts to bend over, can't hardly put my shoes on, definitely can't bend over in a chair to put my shoes on, I got to pick my leg up, and some of the muscle pain has come back. It's not too terrible bad. The joint pain, it's less bad. If that's such a word, but not as good as it was, I think, Saturday when I posted about it, but it's not bad, and just some sore muscles, mainly my thighs, and my hip joints, but not too bad. Nothing really to complain about too much. It could get a lot worse, I do know that, but we'll see how it goes. They'll do the phlebotomy tomorrow, so that plus the hydration, gonna add some time on to how long we're down there tomorrow. I wish we could start at 8, but we can't. And then I know there's going to be the argument if I go over 6 liters, and some reason that one nurse just can't understand that order at all. I mean, at all. And I don't know if she ever called my PC or not. I told her, go ahead, but you're reading it wrong. Ask any of these other nurses in here. They at least know how much albumin I get every week, they at least know that number. And but she was still iffy about it. And I guess she could lose her license, and so there's that. We don't want that to happen, but to me it was pretty easy to understand, and all the other nurses understand it, that part of it anyways. And the lady that was spazzing, she's actually in charge of all the other RNs, so that was kind of confusing. And she has pulled that order and did my infusions for me, It's not like it was my first or second time. You know, tomorrow is going to be my 20th time in the infusion center. You know, it's like you guys should have it memorized like I do by now. You know, but I realize they've got many patients. But you know, the first nurse that walked by, I told him, you know, ask her, and she knew how much I got without looking at the order. But it's going to cause a problem. You watch, I'll bang probably 6.2 or 6.3 liters, somewhere around there, and it'll be mass confusion on the infusion. So I'm already prepared for that. I'll work on my patience tonight. But got to run back up to this lab up here this afternoon, get that PET test, see how they understand the order, the new order that my GI faxed over there. She gave me a copy of it, and I don't know, it's kind of weird. It could be just the blood test part of it once a month, or the PET test, but there is a big check mark in the PET test. And so that's fine too, you know, just once a month, it's no biggie. Just takes a jiffy, you know, little tiny butterfly needle, you know, one little tiny itty bitty vial, and I'm in and out of there. And, but maybe since, you know, I haven't flunked none of them, you know, they're going to stretch it out to once a month. I don't know. It was just our understanding that was pretty much normal, every other week, 2 a week, you know. No, there's no way to cheat the test. It'd be pretty hard to cheat it once every 4 weeks as well. But that thing really digs down and can find anything. And I can only imagine the cost of that. I don't see that. But other than that, you know, we got a couple of nice sunny days. Probably be nice and sunny all day tomorrow, and we'll be stuck down there in the hospital and whatnot. But yeah, so be it. It is what it is. But we've been enjoying two nice days. What is it like? Heck, it's 75 out here now, so it's pretty nice beach weather. And open the house up and yada yada. And been a pretty rainy winter and dreary and whatnot, but that's where we're at. I'll put out another video after tomorrow. Wednesday, probably Thursday or Friday. I'll put out another video, let you know how everything turns out. But should be all right, except for the infusion center. That's what I'm betting my money on. But if I go over that 6 liters, and I will, I'll weigh myself again tomorrow morning when I get up, and I can guess pretty accurate. Not very far off, I can guess. I could probably get more technical, but there's no reason to. But it lets me know where I'm at, you know, before I even get down there. But that's my guess. 6'2", 6'3", and then the confusion on the amount of albumin I get. And still don't think that's working. I'm not sure. But we'll call my GI tomorrow. The wife will have probably 2.5 hours just sitting around bored doing nothing, waiting on me. So she'll be able to make those phone calls. Like I said, we got to run up to the lab and a couple of the small errands today. And we like to make those calls when we both can do it on speakerphone. All the doctor calls, we schedule them that way, you know. If she has to get off work a little early, she will. That way, you know, there's 2 of us listening, and it helps, that's for sure. especially helped in the early days when my head was so messed up and I wasn't understanding stuff right. But that's all cleared up pretty much, I think. I seem pretty normal in the head. Once in a while, what I call, the chemo fog, but it'd take me a minute to, think of a word I was looking for. But the donation, the PayPal pool is over. We want to thank everybody. It's greatly appreciated. Your kindness, your generosity, and helping me, and makes a big difference, especially with the gas and the meds. It's all very helpful. We'll slowly spend it as we need it, and trying to just live within our means with our normal income, and then supplementing my medical stuff when I have to. And so far, I think I've only used $100, and that was for a tank of gas. And I think that was last month, and I just ran out of money, and so used 100 out of there. But we really appreciate it, and we thank you all, for caring enough to help. I will put down my normal PayPal link. I'll put that down there in the description. I don't know if I'll start another pool or not. Maybe I will. But you can always just use the PayPal me link I'll put down in there. It goes direct to me. No fees taken out. And so I'll always put that option up there, I guess. And we'll see, maybe do either a GoFundMe, which I'm not too thrilled about them. Probably another PayPal pool. They make it really easy. And so got a few $1,000s that way. Always can mail it. Some people mailed to my house. Some of the locals have just stopped by, So there's any way you want to get it to me, you can, But again, highly appreciated. It helps us a lot, and hopefully, we'll have some trips coming up here next month or so up into Portland. That's gonna involve hotel. Long drive. Probably, I think it's probably around 6.5 to 7 hours. That's if you don't even stop anywhere. I don't think we can make it to Portland without, stopping anywhere. You're gonna have to eat. You're definitely gonna have to take on more gas, and so that money will go to help with that. And that was the plan behind it all. Nothing else to say. I'm over my 33-minute limit. Oh, I will say this. The registered nurse down here at the radiologist department, who's been so helpful, no matter how grumpy and impatient I've been, not with her or her department, but with the others, and her standing up and calling my primary care, calling the PA, and telling them, you guys got to get this crap right. And so we scraped around and recycles and stuff like that, and we picked her up a $50 Abby's Pizza card. I'm going to try to sneak that to her somehow tomorrow. I'm positive they're not really allowed to take it or accept it. But, we'll go get her a little card and handwrite something to her. She's helped us more than anybody else so far during this whole adventure. Really, more than the doctors have. Really looked out for us. And talks to my wife, when I'm in getting drained and helping her with, with paperwork if we needed it. Basically acting as a patient advocate, plus doing, her job. And it's been really great. You don't find many of them, obviously. And I've dealt with a lot now since the 1st of December. I've dealt with a lot of them, and only one so far, that seemed like they really, really cared. But, so she gets a $50 gift card, Abby's Pizza. You non-West Coasters, you won't have no clue what I'm talking about. Everybody over here likes it. And she actually lives in the hometown that I live in here. And she's not that far away from me, but you got to go inland to get it. We don't have a Abby's Pizza here in my town. It's 2.5 hour drive to the closest Abby's Pizza for us. But a lot of the people who live here in Brookings, who have, young families and whatnot, they go inland to do, like bi-monthly or monthly shopping to like Costco and whatever those big stores are, And so they usually make a trip over, once or twice a month and stock up on stuff. Our food's kind of spendy over here. But for just two of us, it doesn't pay off. But, you got a couple hungry kids and I'm sure it pays off for them to drive inland. So hopefully she'll be able to stop by and hook her family up with some pizza on her next trip over there. And somehow we'll have to sneak this to her so that she has to take it. So basically we're going to have to force her to take it. And we'll figure that out tonight. We've talked about it. How are we going to do this, And we don't want to insult the other nurses that work on me in there. Not that they don't do a good job, but they don't advocate like she does, But so she gets one, and didn't come out of the donation money, and didn't have to use donation money because we got that card. Just wanted to put that out there. Anyways, I'm out of here. I'll check back in Thursday or Friday. Let you know how it goes tomorrow and how much confusion I caused in the infusion center. And till then, peace out, be safe, and we'll talk soon.